Hello, everybody. Welcome to Friday, bro. We're just about to get into the weekend, get a little bit of downtime, maybe do some things that we enjoy doing. I know every Friday I enjoy talking to my good friend Billy Bhatti of the Nitty Gritty Dirt Show. Billy brings us all the news, the gossip, the rumors, the hearsay, things happening behind the scenes in professional wrestling before you even get them. Billy is also the host, the co-host of podcastonapole.com, which is the only authorized podcast that I do about my career. He also does lockbetting.com, which we'll talk a little bit about because we're going into week 2 of the NFL playoffs this week. Billy, what is going on, my friend?
Yeah, I mean, it's been an interesting week. I have lots of news to talk about on the other side of things over on the Patreon. As for lockbetting.com, we had to make our money back through tennis and NBA this week because we didn't do well last week on the NFL. We ended up going 2-4 with our picks. We were only on the right side of Tampa and New Orleans. We're on the wrong side of those other games. I think every single person that I know lost on Pittsburgh. Every expert, everyone. That situation was so bad where they didn't have a coach. Baker Mayfield was meeting players in the locker room before a game that he hadn't played with all season. Had so many players out. Pittsburgh always beat Cleveland, and then somehow that ended up being a Cleveland Browns win. So we were looking to go 3-3 at that point. But like I said, if you look at it overall, there's been 18 weeks now in the NFL. We've won for 12 of those weeks. We've lost for 6 weeks. We've won for 12. So we're still up. But yeah, obviously, when you get to the playoff part of the season, that's where you really want to be at your best. And last week was just so difficult. It wasn't just difficult in terms of the games. We saw loads of really good prop experts that we use or that we talk to, and we see them online and on YouTube and on Twitter and stuff. They were just not hitting their props at all. Like players were not running for yardage. Like there was low receptions, low number of catches. Just people just weren't doing what they were supposed to do. I mean, I'll give you one example, the easiest example. Derrick Henry rushes for over 100 yards nearly every game for Tennessee. So they set the line really high, like at 125 yards, because they give that extra 25 yards because they just know he's going to rush over 100. But it's just a case of whether he's going to go over under 125. He rushed for 40 yards last week against Baltimore. He had 19 carries and he rushed for 40 yards. Like he hadn't done that the entire season. So that was the kind of stuff that it was being thrown up last week. So I doubt there was many people out there that made any money unless they're a contrarian better, where they just bet against everything that's logical. And some people do that. Some people do completely just blindly side with the bookies.
Man, Billy, you were lucky, bro, with Tampa. I was on the other side of Tampa because FanDuel had them favored by 8.5. So I took Tampa and they won by freaking 8. So you were on the other side of that. You were lucky, bro.
Yeah, we had 7.5 here until Saturday, and then we didn't see an 8.5 at all. We saw a complete jump from 7.5 to 9.5 once Heineke was confirmed as the quarterback. We didn't see any 8 or 8.5.
I got 8.5 on FanDuel, literally right before the game on Sunday.
The thing is that while we're here talking about it, I will tell you one thing. There's normally stabilization for the favorites for the divisional round. The wild card round is very, very underdog orientated. But when it comes to this round, it does tend to normalize itself when taking favorites. I'll give you a couple of numbers that you'll find useful. Teams are 33-15 in the divisional round. If teams are 33-15 in the divisional round, ATS against the spread, if they lose the conference championship the year before. So that's Green Bay. Green Bay Packers lost the conference championship last year, and teams that lose the conference championship and play in the divisional round are 33-15 ATS. But it gets better. Teams are 21-3 ATS in the divisional round when they lose the conference championship and they play an opponent who won by double digits the week before. That's the Rams. The Rams beat Seattle by 10 points, and that trend is 21-3. Divisional dogs who produced a wild card upset the following week. So that's the Cleveland Browns and the Rams. They won as underdogs last week. They are 12-46 straight up the following week and 22-36 ATS. Teams that score 39 or more in the last play in the playoff game the week before are 7-9 ATS. They only win 27% of the times. So teams that score a lot of points tend to lose the following week. That happens. They only win 27% of the time. And here's another one. Teams that there's lots of data here to take the New Orleans Saints this week against Tampa. Teams that allow 10 points or less in the playoffs, they end up going 52, 33, and 2. They win 63% of the time against the spread like New Orleans. Plus, you're going to hear a lot of pundits this week saying, oh, it's really difficult to beat a team 3 times in one season. Stats tell you that it isn't, because the teams have only met 3 times in one season, 7 times in history, and the record is 5-2 to the team that has already won the first 2 games. So teams have won 3 games in a row when teams play 3 times, 5 times out of 7. And New Orleans Saints have held teams to 10 or less New Orleans have held teams to 10 or under. New Orleans have held teams to 10 or under in 5 of their last 10 games. Tom Brady has been sacked 3+ times in 5 games this season, and when he is sacked over 3 times, the Bucs lose every single one of those games, and the Saints have gone over 3 sacks in 10 of their 17 games so far this season. So there's loads of stats to take that. Also, the spreads. Last week there were 2 games where teams won, but they didn't cover the spread. Tampa Bay is being counted as that because the line closed at 8.5. And the other one was the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills won by 3 when they were 5.5 favorites.
Both teams. I have both of those teams last week. Baby.
Yeah. So, but the thing is, you're really, really unlucky because playoff teams that win, they usually cover 82.3% of the time. And if you look at the last 4 years, if you win in the playoffs, you've also covered 38 times out of 42. So that's 38-4 for the last 4 years. This year, we already have 2 teams that covered when they lost. And that's only happened 4 times in the last 4 years. So I don't know if it's down to COVID, no fans or whatever. It's obviously a weird season. But usually that doesn't happen. What happened to you is very rare. It's only happened 17% of the time in history. And it's only happened 4 times out of 42 in the last 4 years.
That's incredible. Those statistics are incredible, bro. That's why you guys go to lockbetting.com. You're going to do that research on your own? I doubt it. All right.
No, I don't think so. It takes a while to dig this.
Exactly, man. Forget about it. Billy, what do we got? Give me what we're going to talk about today on the Nitty Gritty Dirt Show over at patreon.com/Russo TWC. What do we got?
Yeah, so we'll look at how plans changed last week on SmackDown, which centered around COVID. We'll look at why a bunch of NXT people are in trouble. We're going to tell you the facts about the Ric Flair situation because there's a lot of reports out there and they are attacking the WWE. Now, we're a very even show. Do we bash the product? Like, yes, we bash the product because the product is unanimously bad. So we call it how it is. Like, this isn't a show where it's sometimes labeled as, oh, Vince Russo, the ex-writer, he hates everything that WWE do. He'll attack everything they say. No, that's not fair at all. We do keep it totally balanced. I keep it balanced here. Vince keeps it balanced. We keep it balanced over at the Dirty Sheet. So we're going to address this Ric Flair situation because everybody is blaming the WWE and how can you have this guy out there? I'm going to give you the facts behind the situation regarding that. We're going to look at this WrestleMania situation. Vince McMahon is already very edgy about this tentative card. I have this card in front of me. 6 matches are on it so far. I'm going to talk about it on the other side. I'm going to talk about how there's a particular wrestler at the moment who's doing a different role, who wants to come out of that role, but the WWE like him in that role. We're going to talk about how much money people were actually making from third-party adverts on their Instagram and their social media, etc.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
We're going to talk about guys that didn't have COVID because there was this whole story out that a whole bunch of guys had COVID who weren't on TV last week. That's now the level of journalism that you're getting from the dirt sheets. People are not on TV. They automatically just lie and say they have COVID. That wasn't the case. I know a load of people that were backstage last week, and the company just had nothing for them to do. We'll talk about some guys that are not signing their deals because, as we previously talked about exclusively on this show, I said that the new deals are going to look very, very different. They do not allow third-party opportunities, and the downside guarantees are much, much lower. Now, these guys aren't signing because the company were throwing out bigger deals just 12 months ago, and they were for 5 years instead of 3. The thing is that I want to address on the other side is that guys are not actually being paid what their downside guarantees guarantee because they're not fulfilling the guaranteed number of dates. And we're going to talk about how many matches people have actually been wrestling and who's wrestled the most matches last year, etc. And nobody has reached anywhere near the minimum to receive their minimum on their downside guarantee. So WWE are paying people substantially less. So when they are being offered these deals for 3 years and for less money, they have to look at the fact that the people that were offered these bigger deals a few years earlier or a year earlier are not actually making that money. So perhaps it's very weird. I always find this weird. Perhaps it's due to COVID, but I don't understand how wrestlers can't text other wrestlers or go and talk to other wrestlers or have these candid conversations about what they're being paid, how to negotiate, etc. Because I think you'll find not signing a deal because you think you're being stiffed because bigger deals are being paid out. If you actually go and do some research on the situation and you're in that position, you'll find that people aren't being paid what they're being paid anyway. Like, for example, Drew McIntyre is being paid nowhere near any other champion in WWE history.
Yeah. Billy, I got to ask you a question because this is what's blowing me away. People, oh yeah, Vince is negative, this and that. Yeah, you're damn right I'm negative. Bro, I'm pretty certain of this. I just want to confirm this. Bro, Bray Wyatt is healthy, right? Bray Wyatt's not okay. So, bro, basically, who is arguably the biggest ratings draw on Raw, arguably, literally has not been on that show for 4 weeks, and this guy is healthy and ready to work?
Yeah, like not only that, but like he booked the time off ahead. So this is what a lot of family people are doing. We saw.
Okay. So Bray himself booked time off.
Yeah.
Oh, so that's what's going on.
Yeah, Bray booked time off, but I don't think it was. It doesn't bleed into this period. It was basically supposed to be a couple of weeks off at Christmas, but that has nothing to do with the finish that they decided to do at TLC because that was booked on the fly. They did not have that finish lined up when they went into TLC. That was just supposed to be a regular match that Bray won, and then he would have just taken his weeks off quietly. They probably would have pre-taped fun houses. So the two things aren't interlinked. They didn't create an angle to write him off TV because he had time off. He had a couple of weeks booked off, like a lot of family people had over Christmas, including Kevin Owens and others, Rey Mysterio. A lot of these family people, they took some time off. He just had that. And they've decided to make an angle out of it. And they are deciding to keep him off TV for the extra amount of time.
I can't believe that, bro. Like, I'm sorry, bro. So that tells me if you booked him getting set on fire at the last minute, you had no idea what you were going to do with him thereafter, how you were going to bring him back. Bro, I got to tell you, if I am USA Network, I am absolutely bullshit over this. You got to be kidding me. Bro, to me, this is the equivalent of WWE taking Roman Reigns off of SmackDown right now for 4 weeks. This is insanity, bro.
Let me give you a little scoop here on the free show. They have had conversations with the USA Network, and this upcoming week is the most important week that they've had for a long time, and I haven't seen anything built up for it at all. I haven't seen anything promoted for it, but internally I know this date has been circled for some time now. The Legends Raw, I was surprised it happened when it happened. I guess they always do something for the first Raw of the year, and they didn't have any football competition in that period, but they knew they had the college championship game coming up, and the college championship game actually does better than a lot of the NFL playoff games. It doesn't do better than the Super Bowl, but it generally does do better than the individual Monday Night Football games, and it does better than the playoff games as well. A lot of people end up watching that college championship, so that was WWE's excuse. I know AEW had an excuse last week where they said that they had a particularly low rating because it coincided with the invasion of the White House, etc. So they all have these excuses that they're loaded up with. Excuses end on Monday. There is no excuse at all. This is a date where we are beginning to move towards WrestleMania. It's been circled and targeted for a long time. So I believe it's going to be the 18th on Monday. And there's no football, no sports, no nothing. Yes, there's probably a bit of basketball on, but there's no excuses now. The USA Network are expecting a 2 or 2+ on Monday from Raw. There's no more at 1.8.
Can I ask you a question? I want to point something out to you, Billy. See, these are the things that I look at. I'm going to your friend Raj's site. Raj, I know you're good friends. You and Raj. I want to point something out to you, Billy, because these are the things to me that are very, very, very telling. These are the things that nobody wants to talk about. Let me just find this here for a second, bro. I'm looking for the ratings from this past AEW show because I want to point something out to you. And I want people to understand, and then I want to ask you a very, very important question. Let's see. Let's see, your boy Ryan Satin's in the headlines. I don't know what he's talking about. I don't care.
I think he graded everybody in the WWE from A to D, and
right.
he did it by himself. And a lot of the wrestlers began to attack him for it.
Yes, I kind of saw that, bro. Yeah, the fact that they care how Ryan Satin rates them, they should be attacking themselves.
I think it's just because he's allowed to put it onto Fox.
Yeah.
Although I don't think they would care if it was on Pro Wrestling Shit or Sheet.
I'm trying to. Oh God, where are the ratings? Why is it making me scroll through all this to get the ratings? Okay, hold on. Okay, I got the results. So, the results probably come before the ratings, right?
Damn it. What ratings are you looking for this previous week?
No, what I'm looking for, bro, is these are the things that people don't want to talk about, and I don't have the exact ratings because I just can't find them. There's just too much to go through. Here's what people don't talk about, bro, because when you talk about ratings, you cannot go week to week. You got to take a chunk of time and you've got to look at the ratings over a chunk of time. Now, bro, here's what the ratings will tell you. And I was just looking at them with PJ. Here's what the ratings will tell you, Billy. In 2019, they were on TNT for 2.5 months.
Okay.
And the average rating was 903,000.
Wow.
In 2.5 months. 903,000 per show. Fast forward to 2020. Now we're at 813,000 an average per show. So the 2.5 months in 2019, 903, 2020, 813. When you look at the first 2 shows of this year so far, they're at about 715,000. So 903 to 813 to 715. So what you're looking at is in 15 months of programming, AEW is going down. So there is no word of mouth. This is not gaining traction that you got to watch this show. You can't miss it. With that being said, Billy, I've kind of felt this. The only numbers we received as far as TNT and what they're paying AEW for the show, bro, the only numbers we received were from Dave Meltzer. he is the only guy who has stated AEW is getting X amount of dollars per show. Now, bro, I've always been very, very, very skeptical because the fact of the matter is Tony Khan is a billionaire.
Do you know what figure he said?
Oh, bro, something outrageous. Something outrageous. Because my theory is it that out of whack to think that perhaps Tony Khan is paying TNT to have that show on the air? Is that far-fetched? Because, bro, all I'm seeing is you've had your show for 15 months now. We're seeing now declining ratings from 2019 to 2021. I don't think that's what TNT signed up for. But like I said, bro, the only contractual numbers I saw came from Dave Meltzer.
Did he say that they were getting $1.1 million per show?
Something like that, yes.
That's what they are getting.
$1.1 million per show.
Yeah, per week, yeah.
And we've gone in 15 months. We've lost about 200,000 viewers in 15 months.
They're basically paying $1 a viewer, which is actually 80% higher than you should be paying, because each viewer has a monetary advertising value of 20 cents. So this show, for what they're paying, they should be doing 5 million. That there is no value in this deal for TNT.
Wow. See, I did not see. That's great stuff, Billy. I mean, I did not know that. That's
usually what the way it's. I mean, it's there's like these parameters with when people always talk about clickbait and stuff, and it devalues where when you're looking at the valuation of internet clicks, it's down to like 5 cents, but TV viewership is still remains firmer at like 20%. There's a different rating for radio listenership in terms of what each radio listener is worth, etc. But yeah, I know TV like holds at 20 cents, but yeah, they're paying like $1 a viewer for that show, which is way, and that's if they had 1 million, which they don't. So
they're paying way over a dollar, bro. They did 755,000 this past week. That's nowhere close to 1 million, bro.
No, that's the thing. So yeah, we're being like very, very generous by saying that. But yeah, that's usually how this would work out. I don't understand how they got this $175 million deal. I guess it was on the back of them saying that they were going to promote their social media platform and going down the whole WWE route of saying that the content will be expanded through these different social media platforms and YouTube, because obviously you have individual wrestlers, and they obviously made it clear that they would be signing ex-WWE talent when you're looking at the likes of Moxie, Cody Rhodes, etc., and they would be sharing it on their platforms, which overall does promote the TNT umbrella. But I just think, I always come in here and say the same thing. I think there's way, way too much value being put on clicks and internet views, and I think it's the same marks watching the same shit over and over again. And I just don't think they spend any money. I think there is a disconnect between wrestling fans and the average income of what people will have in that age bracket, that 18 to 45 that we're looking at. Yes, a lot of the 18 to 45, the average earning across America, I believe when I last looked, is $22,000. That's the average. But you're obviously looking at some of those people earning, $80,000 to $100,000 a year. But you're also looking at people that may earn $15,000 to $16,000 a year, or may not be working at all. I'm sorry if I offend anybody, but I feel that's where the wrestling fans fall under. I feel that they are the under $20,000 workers. And I'm sorry if that's a generalization, but I don't think that your advertising on wrestling shows is worth it. That's why you don't see Chevrolet and car companies putting stuff on there. And wrestling, if you actually sit through the adverts of even Raw or SmackDown or anywhere, it is primarily occupied by junk food. Is that not correct?
Yeah. Yeah. Billy, I said this, I swear to God, I said before AEW started on TNT when they had signed the deal, the first thing I said was wait until the TNT executives see the crowd. Wait until they literally see the type of consumer that AEW is drawing. They're going to be in for quite a shock. I said that when it first started. All right, Billy, before we go over to nitty gritty, tell everybody what you got going on. You got Dirty Sheets, you got Podcast on a Pole, you got lock betting. Go ahead, bro. It's all you. You got Austin's Toys. Go ahead, bro.
I'm going to bring Austin in a second. I'm just going to give him his missed call to come in. All right. So he can come in a second. Yeah. First thing I want to say is nothing to do with promoting anything. I just want to get this out here. I'm wearing this Cobra Kai hoodie.
Very nice. Very nice.
Everybody's going to ask me about the problem. The fundamental problem with wrestling you can see by just watching Cobra Kai. It's an unbelievable story from start to finish. There's baby faces, there's heels, there's tweeners in the show. Like you are absolutely hooked. They don't just do some sort of bullshit on the end of an ad break. Oh my God, I actually forgot that story. I didn't even mention that story. I want to talk about this story about how they are obsessed at the moment with giving you a hook on the ad break and how much time they consume on it. That isn't how you write television. I've got Cobra Kai there. They're not trying to make me sit through the adverts. They're on Netflix. They're not trying to make me watch next week's show. You can just watch it immediately. You can binge the whole thing. And you do. You go from episode to episode and episode because everything ends with a cliffhanger and you are completely committed to each and every character. You have an opinion on every single person. And they have their bottom guys. They have their mid-carders. They have their main eventers. Even on this show, there are the main characters like there is in any film or TV series. But you are committed to every single one of them. And if wrestling isn't looking outside of its bubble at its competition, which is the likes of Cobra Kai, which I think is one of the best TV shows I've ever seen, and I tell everybody to watch it, that is the biggest fundamental problem that they have. Additionally to that, you have other sports. In 2 weeks, you're going to see Conor McGregor returning to the octagon. Conor McGregor is going to do a wrestling heel better than every heel in wrestling. And then at the end of it, he's going to have a real fucking fight. Like, he's going to go out there and he's actually going to fight a guy for real after cutting 5 or 6 better promos throughout the entire week. In wrestling, the only luxury you have is that you can write what you want and you can conclude with any finish that you want to make people want to see more. You can write, you can do whatever you want. If Conor McGregor gets knocked out in his fight against Poirier next weekend, UFC are going to lose a shit ton of money because it's going to be really hard to build Conor up for his next fight. They have no control over that outcome. All they have control over is how much mic time they give him in the build-up, and they'll be desperately hoping he wins. WWE can do whatever they want. They're being outdone at their own game by other TV shows like Cobra Kai and by the UFC and boxing as well. So I wanted to make that point this week because it was massively clear to me, and I don't think it's something that I've really spoken about, as we're always talking about wrestling bubble. We're always talking about comparing WWE to AEW. Well, I got news for you. Everybody that left wrestling, they didn't go and start watching Japanese tapes and they didn't go over from Raw to AEW. Only Dave Meltzer is selling that narrative. It isn't true. They went over to Netflix and they found different TV shows to watch. They went over to boxing, UFC, other sports. They went somewhere else. They still wanted to see heels and baby faces. There's just other places.
Here's a perfect example. I was just talking to PJ on this on the other Patreon show. Here's the perfect example. I'm turning 60 in 9 days. And I told everybody when I turn 60, I'm eliminating wrestling from my plate. Now, I can't afford to eliminate Raw because I generate too much revenue from watching Raw. But as of January 24th, I am not watching SmackDown anymore. I am not watching AEW anymore. I am done with it. So, Billy, I'm watching alternate programming. So I want to watch the shows that people have talked a lot about. Okay? Now, Billy, here's a perfect example. Vince Russo, television viewer. Okay? Billy, never in my wildest dreams would a zombie television show appeal to me. The Walking Dead would not be on my radar. I don't want to see zombies eating people. Now, bro, let's take that. Let's compare that to a regular television viewer who would never watch wrestling. They would never watch wrestling, but just say, oh, word of mouth was, you've got to watch this wrestling show. You got to watch this wrestling show. So you're going to try AEW. So, Billy, I start watching The Walking Dead on Netflix, like you said. And, bro, within the first episode, zombies eating people, decapitations, axes to the head, spears through eyeballs. Like, I'm seeing shit and I'm like, bro, I can't take much more of this. I don't know how much more of this I can watch. And bro, I'm getting ready to tap out, Billy. And it's like 1, 2, and that third, I'm just ready to tap out. However, Billy, something's keeping me there. Something makes me not type out. I'm not into the zombie gimmick. This is the most goriest thing I've seen. Now they've gotten into cannibalism, okay, which I can't believe I'm seeing on television. But my point is, Billy, I was ready to tap out episode 2. Billy, right now I'm in season 5, episode 8. There's something keeping me there. Bro, when I watch AEW, when I watch the there's nothing keeping me there. I can't wait to stop watching these shows. That's the difference, bro. That's what television writing is all about. Billy, based on what you're saying, and based on all the positive feedback I hear about Cobra Kai, you know what I'm doing in Vince McMahon? If I'm Vince McMahon, I'm finding out who writes that show. Let's hire that guy. Screw Bruce Pritchard. Let's pay this guy a shitload of money and bring him onto this show. That's what I'm doing, bro.
Well, that's the thing. They tell stories throughout the show, but everything ends in a fight in Cobra Kai. Or it ends in the big tournament at the end, which is essentially your WrestleMania. They had a tournament at the end of Series 1, and now they've set up the tournament for Series 4 at the end of Series 3. It's just like me and Austin, we just sat there and we watched this show in one day. We waited for Series 3 to come out, and then we just binged it. And now we're waiting for Series 4. And now we can't believe we have to sit here and wait another year potentially. What did you say?
We watched 8 episodes.
Yeah, you can come over if you want. Close the door and you can come sit here. You could talk about Cobra Kai. I'm going to talk about my other stuff in a minute.
And meanwhile, Billy, you're waiting now for a year. I can't wait to stop watching wrestling, bro. I can't wait to stop. And you're waiting now for a year to watch this show again. That's unbelievable, the difference, bro. Unreal.
Why do you like it? What's the best thing about it?
It's just a good storyline.
But what's a good story?
Yeah, get Austin in the shot. There we go. What's up, Austin?
Hi.
Tell me about that. What's good about the storyline? You know, why do you care about these people? Tell everybody, bro.
Because it's really good and you just can't stop watching it because every episode there's a really good ending and you want to watch the next episode.
Are you ever disappointed though? Like if the show ends good and it's a cliffhanger and I gotta watch the next one right away, is there ever a letdown or do you get the payoff, Austin?
No, it's always a good show.
It's always a good show, so it's never disappointing.
No.
So when they set something up, even when Hawk was bullying Dimitri, and then Dimitri got back at Hawk, you think that was the right thing to do? You always think they do the right thing.
Yeah.
I love that shirt, bro. Gizmo.
They always make really.
Oh, that's one of his Christmas jumpers.
I love that Gizmo. I love that.
Thanks.
So what do you think about the Johnny and Danny thing? The Johnny and Daniel thing? Who do you think is the good guy or the bad guy?
Well, in season 3, they're both good.
Yeah.
In season 2, season 1, Johnny's a bad guy.
Oh, I know what you tell Vince. Tell Vince about Kreese as a bad guy.
Yeah, Kreese is like really bad guy.
What makes him a bad guy? Why is he a bad guy?
He just does like really bad things, like he makes his students like really disciplined. He never makes them lose. He doesn't let them lose. He nearly killed his own student because he came second place in Karate Kid 1, the end of it.
Did you say he was a manipulator?
Yeah. He manipulates people.
Well, see, while he was actually off school, because we didn't know if he was going back, he actually did these extra. He wrote about the
every episode from season. I wrote every episode from series.
Yeah, he's written about every. He's written.
Awesome. That's how much he loves the show. That's how much. That is awesome. Hey, Billy, I remember I did watch the first season of Cobra Kai, and I do have to get back on it. But I do remember, bro, in that first episode, the one guy that we hated so much, in the first episode, they made us care about that guy. And I remember watching that saying, this is phenomenal. The way they made us care about this one guy in episode it was unbelievable writing, bro.
That's why I asked him. I said, "Who's actually the bad guy? Is it Johnny or Daniel? Like, who's the actual?"
Yeah, no, they flipped them, bro. When I watched that first episode, they flipped them, and I was like, "Bro, this is freaking incredible." The way they did that was incredible.
That's because more people empathize with the guy that's struggling and is poor rather than the rich guy, which Daniel was obviously successful. He's not necessarily a heel, but he's less easy to relate to. That's what he did.
Right.
I mean, knowing that is clever enough in itself.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. All right. Since we got Austin here, let's talk about Austin's toys, man. Go ahead, Austin. Tell us about Austin's toys.
You have 2 toys over there. You're going to surprise Vince with these 2.
Oh, go ahead, Austin.
These are my first AEW toys.
Okay, let me see. So you got Moxley?
Moxley, yeah.
What toy company is that, Austin? What toy company?
Jax.
Okay, Jax Pacific. Okay.
Jax had WWE stuff. He only actually wanted 2. Who was the other one?
There's a lot of these. What's his name again? MJF.
So those were the 2 that you wanted, MJF and John
Jericho as well. But there's the Jericho is hard to find. It comes with the bubbly and stuff. That's the only one I think you can find at the moment. It's like $100, I think.
Oh wow, those are nice looking dolls, man. Nice packaging too. Those are nice looking dolls.
There's also Hangman Adam Page, Ray Phoenix, Dustin Rhodes. No,
this is series 2 because we didn't get series 1 over here. We just missed it.
Yeah. So tell them about Austin's toys.
Go on.
It's my Instagram channel. It's called and I show all my signed toys and my dad's old signed toys, and some of them aren't signed.
And meeting wrestlers.
Yeah, meeting wrestlers.
What about the Austin report? Vince reads it. Vince reads your.
I read that. I read the Austin report. I posted it for you, Austin.
Yeah, I do that every week, talking about wrestling.
That's awesome, man. Now, Austin, if your dad lets you, can you tell everybody how you kicked COVID's arse? Did you kick COVID's arse, Austin? Tell everybody. Tell everybody.
There's nothing wrong with him. He gave it to everyone else.
He's perfectly healthy, but he almost killed his own dad, Austin.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Mom's fault.
Mom
gave it to me.
Tell Vince how much you struggled with it.
I didn't struggle at all with it. I was fine. He was sick.
Now, Austin, if you were now, Billy, if Austin was fine, like how come he got tested?
Because
my mom had it.
Yeah,
mom had it. Okay, I got you.
He isolated for the right number of days, and then I took him on the day of TLC, wasn't it? So I took him for the TLC pay-per-view, and then the day after, I started to feel ill. And then by the second day, I was really sick. So just by logic, I decided to get him tested because we're only following the government guidelines. And just like your government, our government is a joke. and you can't trust anything that they say. So just because they say, like, you know, you can be around someone who's so he was around his mum, but he was asymptomatic. And because he's asymptomatic, that means he can be around me 10 days later. So we followed that, but obviously he had it and gave it to me. So that's just how it.
Now, how did his mom get really sick like you, Billy? Did mom get really sick?
How was your mom?
Yeah, she was pretty sick.
Oh, wow.
She was sick for like 6 days. She got a little bit better.
Yeah. God, so you guys got hit hard thanks to good old Austin over there. Good job, Austin. Very nice.
No, I think his mum didn't get it from him. I think his mum got it from work.
And then he got it, and then he passed it on to you.
Yeah.
It went from my mum's work to my mum to me to you to granddad
To granddad as well, yeah.
Your dad, Billy? Your dad?
Yeah.
Is he doing okay?
Oh yeah, he was better than me. I was the worst out of everybody. I think my dad was better than his mum was pretty bad. But like my dad was about third. Even though he's the oldest, he didn't actually. He didn't struggle that much. But he didn't get anything at all. Austin
Thank God. All right, Billy, tell everybody about Podcast on a Pole, Dirty Sheets, block petting. Go ahead, bro. Austin, thank you, my friend.
Bye.
Yeah, man. Peace. Peace out, Austin. The great Austin, everybody. Austin's Toys.
You know what? Yeah, finish your work. Yeah. Okay. Where are we at? Sorry. Yeah. So we've done Austin's Toys. Podcast on a Pole. We're recording a new episode shortly, and it will be out on the day of the Royal Rumble. But you should still go back and listen to episode 2, because episode 2 covers all of 1996, where there's loads of like bombshells in there. You can find out about how Vince actually reached out to Eric Bischoff to work at WCW, and how that didn't come to pass, and how Vince actually says Bischoff is responsible for the Attitude Era even happening, because if Vince Russo had been at the WCW, there would have been no Attitude Era, because you can only look at the state of the company now, because they have no ideas in terms of how to recover from this. So the Attitude Era was a Vince Russo thing that actually came. The origins of that was Raw Magazine, and we talk a lot about Raw Magazine on this show. We talk about Brian Pillman signing in '96, Shawn Michaels' title run, the emergence of Stone Cold Steve Austin. The funniest part is Vince Russo's reaction to Hulk Hogan turning heel, and where and who he watched that with. You can find out and listen to all of that over at Podcast on a Pole. Episode 2 is still available now. Episode 1 as well. Go and listen to episode 1 as well, because that's the very beginning of how Vince even got into the wrestling business, from going from being doing a journalism degree at uni, to moving on to being a video store owner, to having a wrestling radio show, to being the editor of Raw Magazine, from being originally a freelance writer and then being the editor. So episodes 1 and 2, Podcast Poll, or wherever you get your podcast, if you don't want to listen to it at the website, we probably don't. It's available at all podcast on all podcast apps. What else? Lockbetting.com. Obviously, we are midway through January, but it's a very different kind of month, so it's still worth signing up. We have all of the end of the NFL season. We're on a bounce back this week. We haven't lost 2 weeks in a row. We've won 12 weeks out of 18, and the divisional rounds, I just, as you heard at the top of the show, we talked about it. I've worked my arse off this week on the divisional rounds, I've got every single angle on totals, every single statistic on spreads and lines. So we do expect to make money in the NFL this week. We're making money nearly every night in the NBA. We've got 8 straight winning days in tennis. We're 29-13 in soccer. So head over to lockbetting.com, and we've got 92 months of track profit. And if you go on my other Twitter, not my wrestling Twitter, at SGP Soccer, you can see the pinned tweet. And that's always the spreadsheet from the previous month. I'll keep it short, because Vince always says to me, this show's going to be 15 minutes. And it's at 45. So the last thing is obviously the dirtysheets.com. That's where you get all of my wrestling news early. You can also subscribe to a betting package just for combat stuff, which is UFC, WWE, and boxing. I give you all of the wrestling news there early. And then me and Vince break it down on this show, or on the other side on the Nitty Gritty Dirt Sheet show, where we're going to move over to now and do on Patreon.
All right, Billy, we are going to hop over now to patreon.com/Russo TWC, and we're going to talk about all those topics that the great Billi Bhatti brought up. So go over to patreon.com/Russo TWC. For myself and the great Billi Bhatti, we will see you over on Patreon.